What is up, PMPBeta? I'm Blake, and I'm bringing you guys yet again another OU match. And hopefully this one will be more enjoyable for you guys, because I guess there were some critiques that didn't really enjoy it. But looking at the team preview, I'm using a really standard Sun team for OU, but I brought a Jumpluff just because it has chlorophyll, and it kind of sets it apart from just completely standard teams. I kind of wanted to mix it up. And so, getting right into the game, my opponent, Street, I believe, leads off with, I'm pretty sure, is a Scarf Landorus. And I just lead off with my Jumpluff because I kind of wanted to get something to sleep. And he brings in his Tyranitar, probably predicting a substitute. I don't know, he probably just wanted to get up a Sandstorm. But I just go for the Sleep Powder, and luckily it does land. And so his Tyranitar is asleep, which it'll be pretty useful. So I go for the Swords Dance on my Jumpluff, and completely forgetting about his Heatran, which completely walls with his set, because my only attacks are Acrobatics with the Flying Gem and the Seed Bomb. So it's really, his Heatran's going to completely wall my Jumpluff, and there's nothing I can do about that. So right here I am going to have to switch out, and I go on to my Ninetales so I can negate the Sandstorm from his Tyranitar and put up the Sun. So a couple of my pokes will benefit from that, and his Heatran goes for the substitute. So this is kind of looking bad for me, but unless his Heatran doesn't have Earth Power, my Ninetales is kind of safe. So I go for the Hidden Power Fighting on my Ninetales, and it takes out the sub. But he goes for the Dragon Pulse, so this is kind of saying he doesn't have the Earth Power, or I guess he predicted my Heatran to switch in, thinking that it has the Air Balloon. But he just goes for the Dragon Pulse, and now I switch out into my Donphan, because I'm thinking that he's going to switch out, but I get the bad end of the deal because he does switch out to his Gastrodon. So I just go for the Stealth Rocks this turn because he doesn't have a spinner on his team, so it'll be pretty important to get those up. And he goes for the Scald when the sun is up, and that only does about half, so I don't really know what he was thinking. Ice Beam would have brought me down to my Sturdy, so I just go for the Toxic with him on my Donphan, so his Gastrodon will be toxic and will be taking residual damage after every turn, and he just sets up the sub. He's bringing some weird sets on his team because I haven't really seen Heatran with subs a lot, and especially Gastrodon with sub. I don't think I've ever seen that before, but I just go on to my Jumpluff, and I don't know what I was predicting. I should have known he had the Ice Beam, so that was just kind of a death fodder, I guess we could say. And I'm glad I got the Toxic off on the Gastrodon because he does have the leftovers and it will negate that, so I can just kind of stall this out and wait for the Toxic to rack up, so it'll just deal some pretty good damage even though I'm not attacking it, and it is behind the sub, so what else can I do? And he goes to the Ice Beam on my Gastrodon, and that will take it out because his Scald is only doing half the damage it should be because the sun is up, so that is greatly benefiting me. And the Toxic damage is starting to rack up as his Gastrodon is just about above half health. And I go out to my Terrakion, and this is the Choice Banded Terrakion, and I go for the Close Combat because it will take this Gastrodon out or deal heavy damage to anything he switches in. So I take out that Gastrodon clean with the one Close Combat, and he goes on to his Landorus because he knows I am choiced and I can't do anything about this. So I go on to my Heatran, predicting an Earthquake because it is on an Air Balloon, it would not affect me. But he just goes for the safe U-turn and pops my Air Balloon, so I really don't have any ground resistance for this Landorus, and this will be dangerous because my Jumpluff is my only ground immunity, and that is dead. So we're gonna have some predicaments going on later in the game. And he switches in his Tyranitar right now just to get up the Sandstream because I am going to have to go out into my Ninetales sooner or later just to get my sun back up. And I go back into my Terrakion because I kind of thought he would want to stand to get burned off some sleep turns, but I go on to my Terrakion now, and I will fire off a Close Combat. No matter on what he does, he will get hit by Close Combat. And even if he switched in his Landorus, he would have taken a decent amount because this is Choice Banded, and Landorus doesn't really have the greatest defenses, I think, even though it does resist the Close Combat. So I just take his Tyranitar out, and so he brings in his Landorus, and Revenge kills me with an Earthquake. I was kind of thinking that he would go for the U-turn again, but he doesn't really have a need to because his Earthquake does damage and has super effective damage on everything on my team, I think, except my No, yeah, I think he does have super effective damage on everything on my team. So he just goes for the Earthquakes, and he takes out my Terrakion, my Ninetales. So that's 2 Pokemon that Scarf Landorus has taken out. So I just go on to my Venusaur, which I didn't really need to in the first place, but I just ended out now, and I go for the Growth. But he does have the Heatran and the Ferrothorn on his team, so I could have predicted that. But actually, this Heatran does have the Hidden Power Fire, so it does take out the Ferrothorn right here as I go for it, and it is a clean 1-8 KO because Ferrothorn will get roasted by a Hidden Power Fire or any fire move for that matter, because it is Grass and Steel type, so it is quad weak to fire. So he goes on to his Heatran, which kind of completely walls my Venusaur because I do have Hidden Power, Growth, Sludge Bomb, and Energy Ball, so it does completely wall my set again. And I have problems with other Heatrans. I don't know why. I should probably fix that. But he goes on to his Heatran, and he goes for the Dragon Pulse, and this is kind of telling me this is the only thing he has for this Heatran, so this will be pretty important. And now this is a clutch time in the match because I have no room to make mistakes, and he does have that Scarf Landorus to wreck my team, so I have to be very careful. I have a steep hill to climb, but right here I make a pretty good prediction, I would think, as he goes on to his Landorus, and I go for the Fire Blast while his Heatran was in. That was kind of a ballsy move, but I had to go for it because if he switched in his Landorus as I went for another Earth Power, he would have just wrecked my team with an Earthquake. So I take out his Landorus with the Fire Blast, and he switches in his Stoutland, and I want to say that this is Choice Banded, so I go on to my Venusaur as he goes for the Wild Charge, and it is resisted, and so he will get recoil damage from the Wild Charge. So this is looking kind of pretty good. But he just switches out into his Heatran because he is locked into it. And I just go for the Growth again because right now I kind of want to sack this Venusaur because it doesn't really have anything to do because this Heatran is still alive. So I'm just gonna my plan right here is to not let his Heatran get up any more subs. So I go for the Energy Balls, kind of predicting him to set up a sub, but he just wants to take this Venusaur out. So he goes for the Dragon Pulse. I don't know what his last move is. He should have a fire move. I don't know why he doesn't, but that's just not a part of this conversation right now. So I go for another Energy Ball, and it does take him down to about. It is at red health, so he will take me out with the Dragon Pulse. And my last Pokemon is Heatran. I can't take out his Heatran with mine because I do have the Earth Power, but the problem is, would his Choice Banded Stoutland be able to take me out with the Wild Charge? So we will see after this because I do KO his Heatran with my Earth Power right now, and this is where the critical point of the match is. He brings out a Stoutland, and he goes for the Wild Charge. He does outspeed me, so he goes for it, and it's going. I stop at red health, and I was so happy, and my Fire Blast hits. Note, if this missed, I would have lost this game. So I kind of want to run Flamethrower over Fire Blast for this reason. These misses can't be game changing, so that is the very narrow 1-0 for me, and this was a pretty good match street, and I hope you guys like this narration and this battle. So leave a like, comment, rating, or subscription if you enjoyed it, and this will be it out of me, guys. See you later.